the shockingly deep meaning behind the Chosen One prophecy. On this episode, we'll be discussing the shockingly deep meaning of the Chosen One prophecy. We shall be unraveling some deep secrets and facts about this prophecy. So without wasting much of your time, let's get to the video. Hey guys, welcome back to this channel, a Star Wars focused channel bent on entertaining both non-fans and also the fans of the Star Wars universe. And I am your humble host. The prophecy of the Chosen One is something fans and lovers of Star Wars have argued for years. For whatever the reason, whether the debate is centered around who fulfilled the prophecy, or whether or not the prophecy should have existed at all, the topic is one that has perplexed many viewers ever since it was first articulated in The Phantom Menace. To be fair, much of this is likely to be blamed on the vague and confusing wording of the prophecy itself. We first hear from Qui Gon that the Chosen One is the one who will bring balance to the Force. And later, we hear that this prophecy also says that the Chosen One will destroy the Sith at first glance. It's all very confusing, but in this episode, we shall be taking a closer look at this prophecy, along with new information that has recently been surfaced, which gives us commentary of what George Lucas' original intent was, and demonstrates that the prophecy is not only integral for the entire original saga, but also adds a level of depth and intimacy to the story that George was telling us. In this video, we're going to also be looking at both Anakin and Luke, and ask, what is the prophecy? Who is the Chosen One? And why this prophecy makes Star Wars a far deeper story than we could ever have possibly imagined. The first part of this prophecy is the idea that the Chosen One will bring balance to the Force, but the word balance remains undefined, leaving us to guess and speculate as to what it might mean. If we interpret balance to mean that the light and dark have equal power in the galaxy, that would seem to be an odd prophecy for the Jedi to pursue. They seem to be pretty set when we see them in The Phantom Menace of not being aware of any Sith presence. During this time, they believed that they were maintaining the light in the Republic, and so it would be odd for the Jedi of that era to want someone who would add more darkness to the galaxy. Since that's what a change in the balance would be, the Force would mean during that time, plus if the prophecy really was as many as having an equal part in the number of lightsiders and darksiders, then the second part of the prophecy wouldn't make little sense. I think we must take a deeper look at what Lucas's vision was for balance, since it doesn't seem self-evident at first. But I believe that there is a truly satisfying answer that plays an undertone throughout the entire original saga. The rest of the Jedi are so detached and they've become so political that they've really lost their way. However, if we're going to figure out what balance is, I think we first need to break out that second part of the prophecy. The second part of the prophecy seems a lot more straightforward: destroy the Sith. Similarly, this would lead to a pretty straightforward conclusion about the identity of the Chosen One, since it was Anakin/Vader who is the one who threw the Emperor into the bowels of the Death Star. However, I think there was a little bit more going on than just that, and there was still a case to be made that it could be Luke who was the Chosen One. The main argument for Luke being that the Chosen One is at his victory in Return of the Jedi. It was he who redeemed his father and inspired him and empowered him to destroy the Emperor and brought him back from the underworld, literally bringing Anakin back from the dead. If only for a moment in the universe, we also know that Obi-Wan believes that Luke is the Chosen One and not Anakin. It would seem that Obi-Wan believes now that Luke is in fact the one who will fulfill the Chosen One prophecy, since he does actually and truly believe Anakin is dead, and Vader has taken his place completely and totally ceased to be Anakin Skywalker, believed and continues that it is Anakin who is the Chosen One, and never stopped losing faith that Anakin will fulfill the prophecy. Furthermore, as we already said, Anakin is the one who does destroy the Emperor. A really telling question is, who did Luke believe the Chosen One is? And thanks to Secrets of the Jedi, we actually have an answer. Now, If you don't know secrets, The Jedi is basically a book written from Luke's perspective, like a journal of some sort, written sometime between the Return of the Jedi and his death on Noctu. If we look at his journal, this is what Luke says about the Chosen One prophecy. No matter how far my father has fallen, I sensed his turn to the dark side was not absolute. I knew the Anakin Skywalker had followed his heart to a fault during the days of the Jedi, and our untimely victory would rely on my belief that that same heart was still beating somewhere inside Darth Vader's armor. The Emperor tried to sway me to his side, and when that didn't work, he tried to kill me. But at that moment, my father turned against his own master to protect his son. His final act was to hurl the Emperor to his death, not only redeeming himself, but also restoring balance of the Force as the prophecy foretold. Now the question is, was restoring the Force balance and destroying the Sith, or was there something else at play here? I believe the actual act of restoring the balance of the Force was not the death of the Emperor, although I do believe that played a part in it, but I believe that the true balance comes in the Jedi becoming what they were always meant to be, and therefore fulfilling the fated arc that began in Phantom Menace and only concludes in the Return of the Jedi. A really important element to understand the prophecy of the Chosen One is that the Jedi had really lost their way by the era of the prequels. The rest of the Jedi are so detached and they become so political, they've really lost their way. We cannot abandon our Padawans, but if their time has come, I am prepared to let my student go. Can you say the same? It wasn't always the way of the Jedi to fear attachments or love, and it was Qui Gon who would have been able to teach Anakin how to properly address those attachments in service of the light. What's at stake is really how Anakin turns out, because Qui Gon is different than the rest of the Jedi as you get in that movie. Qui Gon is fighting because he knows he's the father that Anakin needs. And that was the main thing that was so important about the duel of the fates. That was the fate that they were dueling over. That if Qui Gon had been able to survive, he would have been the father figure that Anakin needed and taught him how to have an attachment with his mother. And you know that would eventually lead him to forge an attachment to Padme. And being able to balance those attachments and understand that it wasn't wrong to love and it wasn't wrong to care. It would have been crucial for him to have Qui Gon be his master. To understand that since Obi-Wan and Yoda were still kind of in blinded stage where they didn't really understand that a Jedi could have attachments and still deny the temptations of the dark side. So he's a brother to Anakin eventually, but not a father figure. That's a failing for Anakin. He doesn't have the family that he needs. I think it's really important to look at the fact that Anakin did already have an attachment with his mother, and Qui-Gon saw this, and he understood what that meant to take that child away from his mother. And because Anakin had already tasted attachment, that led him to form that attachment with Padme and find love with her. He would prioritize that over the Jedi Code. And a Jedi, teaching the key that Qui-Gon understood that Obi-Wan didn't, was that this was not inherently dark. The Jedi believed that love and attachment is wrong, because it could potentially lead to passion, and it can potentially lead to attachment, which will lead to the fear of loss. However, that doesn't mean that love and emotional attachments necessarily lead to the dark side, because the Sith that love and compassion lead you to be attached to things that are beneath you, and it can lead to weakness. I do believe that love is the ultimate form of balance in the Force, since it leads the Sith to the light and it leads the Jedi to the dark. But learning how to balance your emotions while being in love is what leads to true balance in the Force. Controlling your passions while being in love, and that's what you should teach you to be aware of. But love itself will save you, not condemn you. This is even reinforced if you go back to the legends. If you ask anyone who was a fan of the universe who best exemplified the idea of balance, in the Force, 9 times out of 10, you will get the same answer. I think all of these comes down to the core message of Star Wars. Because if you look at the original trilogy, it was very crucial that Luke and Leia were the only ones who had the power to redeem Vader from the darkness. Now we also know that Yoda and Obi-Wan were trying to convince Luke not to spare his father, saying that there was no good left in him. However, it was only by ignoring this advice of Obi-Wan and Yoda that Luke truly succeeded in destroying the Sith and defeating Vader but not by killing Vader, but by redeeming him. And again, you see it was attachment. The attachment of Luke that allowed him to spare his father, and then it was the attachment of Vader to his son that redeemed Anakin. And he says, you know, I am a Jedi like my father before me. But he's really saying, and why we connect. I connect so proudly to it. Like he's saying, I love my father, and there's nothing you can do that's going to change that. In this way, the correct answer to who is the chosen one is both of them. Because if Luke had not been attached to his father, then his father would not have come back to the light. But if Vader had not been attached to his son, then he would not have shown compassion and killed the Emperor. It was their shared attachment with each other that fulfilled the chosen one prophecy, bringing the Force balance, which is love and attachment. I believe that the entire narrative of Star Wars is about the Jedi learning to embrace attachments. But ultimately, I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with me that George Lucas' entire story, the method and the main narrative of the Star Wars, is about the Jedi's journey to accept attachments? Or do you think the chosen one is referring to someone completely different? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So, if you liked the video, kindly like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.